Alabama.
Thank you, Mr. President. I still can't believe we're having serious conversations about men competing in women's sports. We've lost our mind. I know some of you have daughters, nieces, and granddaughters that play sports. My amendment will protect the integrity of women's and girls in sports. It will protect them in sports itself because women and girls are being discriminated against. I'm here to fight for the future of women and girls sports, for the safety of their locker rooms and showers. Biden's Department of Education is doing exactly the opposite. My amendment is simple. A school should protect women in sports, ensure that only biological women can compete against each other. An educational institution should not be able to use federal funds to implement a radical agenda and facilitate biological males competing in women's sports. It's time to draw the line in the sand.
In this week's edition of Saving Women's Spaces, Alabama Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville fighting to protect women's sports, offering forth an amendment to prevent biological men from competing in women's sports. All 51 Democrats voting against the bill, blocking it, though, from moving forward. Tuberville originally introducing the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act back in 2022, but Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer had refused to bring it to the floor for a vote. Senator Tuberville joins us now. Sir, welcome, and thanks so much for coming on. We were playing some of your remarks earlier. Again, it appears to sound like common sense. Safety for women, protection for women in sports. And yet, no Democrats seem to be on board with that. What's your message to those Democratic lawmakers today?
Well, good luck in your elections this fall. I think this is going to be a big topic when you got John Tester of Montana, Sherrod Brown of Ohio. You got so many that are Democrats that are up for re-election. Surely to goodness, people across the country are going to have enough common sense to say, listen, if you believe that men should play against my daughter or granddaughter in sports, you've lost your mind. And so that's pretty much where we stand on this. Again, it's not rocket science. They're trying to destroy, for some reason, Title IX, women's sports altogether. They hate gender. They want everybody to be the same. It makes no sense. But we put up with this foolishness up here all the time. And hopefully in about 6-7 months, we'll draw the line here and get back to, what this country is really about.
It's been in the news recently, this discussion about men in women's sports. In fact, the South Carolina women's basketball coach, Dawn Staley, was asked about her views on that. You might have seen the clip. In case not, for our viewers, here's that moment when she was asked about whether biological men should be competing in the women's league.
If you're a woman, you should play. If you consider yourself a woman and you want to play sports or vice versa, you should be able to play. That's my opinion.
What do you think about the coach's comments there?
Unfortunate. Her responsibility is to coach women against women, not women against men, or half men, half women in terms of the numbers on the teams. It's just unfortunate. I coached for 40 years, and I was around first starting coaching when Title IX started. It's probably the only one of the few things up here that they've actually done federally that has helped the people, groups of people across the country. And let me tell you something, it has done great. But since the last 3 years that I've been in this seat in the Senate, I've seen nothing but attacks on women, Title IX, and this is coming from the same people that actually fought, the activists that fought for Title IX. So they can't make their mind up, but that's the Democrats' agenda now. Everything is woke. Everything is DEI. Everything is about the way they want it to change our country to something else. But we're going to stand up for women, and it's just unfortunate this young coach, who obviously is a pretty good coach, is going to come out and attack the sport that she has been very successful in.
In some of your remarks, of course, you talked about the safety of women when it comes to actually the competition, right? On the field, on the court, you want to make sure that they're protected. But then also you mentioned the safety of the locker rooms, right? Feeling comfortable and safe in that space before or after a match. In the past few months, we've seen a number of people who appear to be men changing in women's locker rooms at Planet Fitness centers. Again, a local gym change here. Again, we've actually spoken to a woman who captured this photograph. essentially saying that there were young girls in that space, very close to where a biological man was getting ready for a workout here. Planet Fitness, though, saying, the photo policy breaks the policy, so they're the ones who are kicked out. But the policy stands depending on which gender you identify with. You can use the locker room. What's your messages to businesses that have that approach?
Well, it's just, again, unfortunate. And the sports aspect is one thing because it's supervised out on the court, in the swimming pool, on the field, whatever. But then you go in the locker room, it is not, you don't have the support. It's you versus somebody else in that locker room. We've had rapes, we've had fights, we've had people that have been embarrassed. And that's not what this country is about. It's about fairness when it comes to something that is so vital to our country's way of prospering, of young girls being able to grow up and being comfortable and being themselves. But to be put into a locker room with a biological male, to me, that's against the law. People should be put in jail for that. It's just unfortunate we're having to go through this point in time. That's the reason we have to get this administration out of office, because everything they've touched, whether it's foreign relations, economy, anything to do with sports, they have absolutely ruined it. So we got to get back to common sense in this country, and we got to get back to fairness and give these young girls, women, an opportunity, because if we don't do that, if we don't make this change, we're going to start losing young girls at an age that parents aren't going to allow them to dress in dressing rooms, take showers with biological boys, or participate in a sport where they might be injured against a bigger, faster, stronger person.
Yeah. Again, certain companies have different policies when it comes to gender identity in these spaces. Different schools, different leagues have different policies. You just kind of got to read into it right now at this point. Waiting to see what happens next from the federal level. Right now, it's on pause. There's not enough votes to change anything about it. But I know you're getting the word out. Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama, thanks, sir, for coming on today and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you. And I want to say thanks to the NAIA for standing up. And the NCAA needs to be the next step in protecting women and girls in sports.
All right. We'll wait and see, again, if the NCAA will do so. Thanks so much, Senator. Appreciate it.
Thank you.